look into. Well, but you want to check with her.
Okay.
So,
Are we okay?
Are we?
Are we okay? Yes. Okay. Looks like it is to me. Cass, can you hear me? Diane, can you hear me? Well enough? A little up, a little bit. Okay. Okay? Maybe. And then, how do I take it off when you come? So you have a mic over there. I don't have to move this thing, except if they have joys and concerns. I need to remove this. Will you move it around? Thank you very much. All right. Yes, I will turn it off.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. We all made it. Thank you for coming amidst the snow and the cold. My name is Marianne Shoemaker, and I'm the liaison for this morning. And I'd like to introduce to you Jackie Mon, who will conduct our service today and share with her her expertise and her joy of Montessori and learning and spirituality.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you very much. and wish me well, because this is my first time, so bear with me.
This is a non-judgmental group. Absolutely.
That's one of the covenants, right? Or the principles. Okay, as you are welcome here. Visitor, friend, or longtime member, you are welcome here. With little children, or your partner, or alone. We joyfully welcome you here. You are welcome here as believer or doubter, as joiner or loner. You are welcome here. Feeling a part of us or not, full of energy or not, seeking a vision or a quest or a rest, you are welcome to join us as you are. We acknowledge that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfeet, and Anishinaabe people who shared the Helena Valley as hunting grounds. The indigenous story of Helena began long before the arrival of Europeans. We honor those who walked before us. We honor the path that they have shown us in caring for this place for generations to come. We strive for justice and fair relations with their descendants. And now, Sam, will you come and do the lighting of the chalice? All together, we light now. We light this chalice. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Now, this is my fault. It says that there's an insert. There's no insert. It's on my dining room table. I apologize. Judy is going to get us through the lyrics, but will you join me on this journey? And we've sung it before, so we have a sense of what's coming.
We can do this. I know we can. And if I forget them, Mackenzie's here, she'll help me. Oh, I see people standing ready to dance. Thank you, Cheryl. Will you join me on this journey? It gives me strength
Is it on now?
to take your hand. The road is long. Sometimes I'm weary. Will you take my hand? We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, we'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing the waves so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, will you join me? On this journey, it gives me strength to hear your voice. I rely on Mackenzie. Sometimes, so many times, I can't find the words. Will you sing to me with your lovely voice? We'll send love. We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey, we'll help justice. We'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing the waves so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey, will you join me? On this journey, Mackenzie doesn't know, and I can't remember, there's always this. Don't you just love having a digital memory device in your, I'm probably not gonna need it for anything more than just this one. You know, I reviewed the guitar part in this morning, but I didn't review the lyrics. Okay, here we are. I'm gonna get quite a reputation. Will you join me singer clips? I don't really want that.
I'm gonna sing another different verse.
Okay. Maybe I'll make a new one.
Lead us wherever you go.
Will you join me on this journey? Sometimes. Yeah. What is it, Mackenzie? What's that? The road is long. Sometimes I'm weary. Will you look my way and smile? And we'll do that. We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey. We'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing the waves so that all can be free on this journey. Way to clap on those offbeats on this journey. Guitar. Doesn't come yet. This is the guitar solo. It's okay. I've got this part down. Oh, I remember that verse now. Will you join me on this journey? It lightens my heart. It lightens my heart when I see you smile. Sometimes I am discouraged. Sometimes I am discouraged. Will you just look my way? Will you just look my way? Look my way and smile. We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey. We'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing the waves so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey. Now will you join me on this journey? I want you there. I want you there. There beside me. There are times when I will lose my way. There are times when I will lose my way. Ah, but you, my friend. Ah, but you, my friend. You will guide me. We'll send love to the earth through the soles of our feet. We'll send love to the souls of all the people we meet on this journey. On this journey. We'll help justice. We'll help justice roll on down to the sea, providing no waves so that all can be free on this journey. On this journey. We'll send love. We'll send love on this journey. On this journey.
Good job, Jackie.
Good job. I want to thank Marianne and Judy and Mackenzie and Kathy. Thank you. All right, now we have a moment for joys and concerns. If you have any joys and concerns to share, there'll be another ending for this after the Zoom goes off. For personal. And Marianne has offered to pass the mic around. Any?
Are there any? Nobody's concerned about anything and nobody's happy about anything.
We're just...
Fabulous music last night at the symphony.
Oh.
Wait a minute. We need to do the mic.
Hi, this is Carrie, and I know Georgia was there, but they did a really, yep, and you guys were there. They did a really interesting, and it was great because it was very mixed. I know my kiddos really liked it because it was very vibrant, and now I can't remember any of the musicians somebody had.
There were two percussionists. One played the marimba and the other one a vibraphone. And it was a three movement piece. And the woman percussionist has come to Montana 2 times before, and this was the 4th time that this piece had been played in the world. So it was a really great experience.
Well, I have a joy this morning. So I got a text, I don't know, 6:30 a.m. from Cole, who was stuck in the Salt Lake City airport unexpectedly. And I made numerous calls to see if I could rope somebody into being our tech person this morning. And my first 3 choices were also in airports going somewhere else. And then Judy said, call Luke. To the rescue. And Luke is the mastermind of this system, so he was just the right guy to show up. Thank you, Luke.
Well, this is something that will work, though. Anyone else? Okay, Jackie.
And now I read this, right? Okay, now it's time for the offering. Thank you for the gifts this day and for all the gifts of action that make this community possible. If you are visiting, please remain our guest. Your presence is our gift to us. And Sam and Mara will pass the baskets. I don't have to say that. Yep. Yep. now I'd like to introduce Cheryl Mackenzie. I called her Kathy, my apologies. This is Cheryl, and she's going to introduce our next special guest for the morning.
Okay, hi. So last Saturday, my piano student, Reedon, had an opportunity to play 2 memorized pieces in a Helena music teacher's honors recital, in which students can qualify if they participate in a graded festival, and they get a superior score by a guest professor from U of M or some other place. As it happened though, Reed qualified for this honors recital, but he also qualified for a state gymnastics competition on the same day in Missoula, so he wasn't able to play. And that was a very big deal, and by the way, he got 7 medals. He is the level 5 champion of the state. So anyway, here he is, pleased to be given this opportunity to play for you before he moves on to learning other piano pieces. Thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you very much. And now I'll invite Marianne to come up for our story, Everybody Needs a Rock by Bird Baylor. And for the young young in heart, please join her.
I really kind of need somebody.
We need some bodies up here that need rocks.
Thank you, Mara.
Thank you, Sam.
Oh, thanks, Sam. Okay. So this is by Bird Baylor. With pictures by Peter Parnell. How's my mic voice? Okay, good? I think you can hear me. Okay, and this is Jesse's book. Usually they say something else. So, here, I think I can do it this way. Everybody needs a rock. And I'm sorry for kids who don't have a rock for a friend. I'm so sorry for kids who have tricycles, bicycles, horses, elephants, goldfish, three-room playhouses, fire engines, wind-up dragons, and things like that. If they don't have a rock for a friend. And you can see the full pages. Would you want an elephant for a friend? I'm not sure I would. You would? Okay. That's why I'm giving you my own 10 rules for finding a rock, and not just any rock. A special rock that you find yourself and keep for yourself, maybe forever. Okay? If somebody says, "What's so special about that rock?" Don't even tell them. I don't. Nobody's supposed to know. What's so special about another person's rock? So, all right, here are the rules. If you can go to a mountain, you can go to a mountain, but today we're going to go right here. Am I on the right page? No. Okay. So a mountain is made out of nothing but 100 million small, tiny, shiny, beautiful, roundish rocks. But if you can't, any place will do, and that's a good thing. An alley, a sandy road, or the steps in a church. It doesn't actually say that, I know. I made that up. Rule number 2. When you're looking at rocks, don't let mothers, fathers, or sisters, or brothers, or even best friends talk to you. Except I'm going to be talking to you. But anyway, you should choose a rock when everything is quiet. So since we're at the church, it's going to be pretty quiet in here for a bit. And so you should be thinking about, maybe, it's quiet in here. Don't let dogs bark or bees buzz at you. But if they do, don't worry. The worst thing you could do is go rock hunting when you're worried. Rule number 3. Bend over, but you're down close, so that's good. Maybe more, maybe even more. You might even have to put your head on the ground. Not going to do that, okay. Almost touching the earth to look at the rock right in the eye. Otherwise, don't blame me if you don't find a good one. There's a kid looking at that rock. Okay, rule number 4. Don't get a rock that's too big. You'll always be sorry. It won't fit in your hand well, and it won't fit in your pocket. And of course, I wore clothes with no pockets today, but okay. You've got a pocket. Excellent. You got a pocket, Sam? Maybe. Okay. Plenty for rocks. Maybe you can take 3 rocks. A rock as big as an apple is too big. A rock as big as a horse is much too big. Yes. don't know where you'll find a rock as big as a horse. Maybe on a mountain. Okay. Rule number 5. Don't choose a rock that is too small. It will only be easy to lose, or a mouse might eat it, thinking that it's a seed. Believe me, that happened to a boy in the state of Arizona. There's the mouse. Rule number 6. The size must be perfect for you. It has to feel easy in your hand when you close your fingers of it. Kind of like that Rubik's Cube in your hand, Sam. It's almost natural. It just fits right in there. When your hands close over it, your fingers, whoops, it has to feel easy in your hand when you close your fingers over it. It has to feel jumpy in your pocket when you run. So this one might be too big for you because it wouldn't jump around in your pocket. Some people touch a rock 1,000 times a day. There aren't many things that feel as good as a rock if the rock is perfect in your hand. Okay. Rule number 7, look for the perfect color. That could be sort of pinkish gray with bits of silvery shine in it, and some rocks that look brown are really other colors, but you only see them when you squint and when the sun is just right. Another way to see colors is to dip your rock in a clear mountain stream if one is passing by. Now, I don't have a, That's what the water's for, yeah. So I have my rock here. Actually, these rocks came from Carolyn's son, Adam. So they were ones that he especially chose. And we've been going through the rules. I'll send the book with you after the story time, and you can look at the parts that you missed, okay? Okay? Maybe even take some of the rocks with you if you want. So where were we? Rule number 8. Okay. So rule number 8 in picking out a rock, the shape of the rock is up to you. There's a girl in Alaska who only likes flat rocks. Don't ask me why, I like them lumpy. The thing to remember about the shape is any rock looks good with 100 other rocks around it. But if your rock is going to be special, it should look good by itself in the bathtub. You know, it's going to have to look good right here.
I like it.
Cool.
I like clear ones.
Okay. Rule number 9. Always sniff a rock. Rocks have their own smells. Some kids can tell by sniffing whether a rock came from the middle of the earth or from the ocean or from a mountain where the wind and sun touched it day after day for 1,000,000 years. You'll find out that grown-ups can tell these things. Can't tell these things, I'm sorry. And too bad for them. They just can't smell as well as kids can. And other things too, of course. Rule number 10. Don't ask anybody to help you choose. I've seen a lizard pick up a rock, pick one rock out of a desert full of rocks and go sit there alone. I've seen a snail pass up 20 rocks and spend all day getting to the one it wanted. You make up your own mind. You will know. All right, that's the 10 rules. If you think of any more, write them down yourself. This says I'm going to go out and play a game that takes just me and one rock to play, and I I don't know if you noticed in the beginning of the story, I used my rock to hold the book open while I was taking the pictures. So rocks are very useful.
I don't like these ones.
Okay, well, pick out one special one, okay? And take it with you. Does everybody have at least one to take with them?
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone want to have custody of the story and then bring it back? Okay, will you be very careful with it? Thank you. Okay, and I'll pick up the rocks that you've left behind and we'll sing you out. Okay. Thank you for doing double duty.
Okay, now we're going to have a hymn, Wonders Still the World Shall Witness. And this is page 239 in the Singing Living Tradition. 239, yes. 139. Oh, I'm sorry, 139. Thank you.
I'll play it all the way through once.
Do I need some? Okay. Thank you. It's quite an honor to be here, so I appreciate it. And can you hear me okay? If I stand by the mic, right? So as I was preparing this message, I would get stuck every now and then, recognizing that we're pretty fortunate to be here and thinking about the children and families in Gaza and Israel and everywhere else where they're not as fortunate as we are. But then I was reminded that Maria Montessori, she withstood 2 world wars. She was thrown out of Italy by Mussolini, and he tore down all the schools that she had founded. And then she was forced to leave Spain during the Spanish Civil War, arrived in Europe in about 1936, right before World War II broke out, and she was interned in India for 7 years during the war. But she never gave up. She never gave up. She endured and continued the work. Rebuilt, she went back to Europe at the end of World War II, and basically rebuilt all that Hitler had torn down and destroyed. So with her inspiration, I think we can all continue. All right, so I'll tell you my own story briefly so you can kind of hopefully see why I have done it all my life. So I graduated from Montana State University with a degree in general studies. I didn't have a psych major at those days. And my hot thought was, well, I'll go to graduate school and I'll get a PhD and I'll teach. And my advisor at the time said, well, why don't you apply to go to the University of Nevada? That's where I did my graduate work, and you could study under my mentor, Willard Day. So I thought, well, that sounds good. I should have known better, but anyway, I get to Nevada, and Willard Day is a strict Skinnerian. So I spent that 1.5 years studying B.F. Skinner. I think we probably read Verbal Behavior about 5 times. And then during my graduate studies, I got married and moved to the San Francisco Bay Area. And I thought, okay, I can finish my required coursework. I had a few credits, so I could get those through UC Santa Cruz, and I could write my thesis and submit it, and all would be good. Well, I got the credits, and I drafted a thesis, and as I was reading it, I thought, this is garbage. So I ripped it up, and that closed that chapter. Then anyway, so I got a job in San Francisco. My sister was working in Palo Alto, and she knew I was struggling to figure out what on earth I was going to do with this life, and sent me a book, the first book written by Maria Montessori in 1912, The Montessori Method. And sure enough, Montessori mentions the spiritual development of the child, and that it's not just a body to be conditioned with rewards and punishments. And so, you know, it triggered my thinking. And then my sister had a colleague working at where she was at SRI, and this colleague happened to be the niece of Lena Wickramaratne. Miss Lena was a Montessori trainer in Palo Alto. So I can't remember her name, unfortunately, but she introduced me to Lena, and I went to Lena's apartment and fell in love with the whole thing. So I signed up for her training the following fall. And that sort of started the whole thing. I knew I was on the right track because Montessori really did say we need to look at the complexity of the human being, not just from the point of view of behavior and mind, but to realize mind, body, heart, and spirit. So a little bit about Miss Lena. Miss Lena was from Ceylon, Sri Lanka now, and she'd read about Montessori and found out that Maria and her son Mario were going to be in India in 1939, and so she got her father to help her get to India to take this course in Madras at the Theosophical Society. So she arrives there, takes the course, and is committed to stay with the Montessoris to continue the work. Right then, World War II had broken out, and so Maria and Mario, from what was going to be a 3-month stay, ended up being a 7-year internment. And they went up to Kodaikanal, which is a beautiful town up in the hills, where it was healthier air and everything for Maria. And so it was that time, and then they ended up being there until 1946. And I think it was really a moment of the time for Montessori to she'd been traveling all over the world, and so it was really a period of reflection. And also, Lena and Mario would go out every day and be with children because they were near an international school. So they would be the 3 to 6-year-old children and walking in the woods and the mountains and the streams and executing what they had discovered earlier in working with children of that age. And then the parents really loved what was happening, so they said, can we bring our 5 and 6-year-olds along with them? And so, of course. And Mario was really ready to take the next stage, because they'd really focused on the birth to 6, and he was really ready to think about the 6 to 12-year-old. So that was really the birth of cosmic education, so Lena and Mario would be out all day, and then they would come and sit with Maria every evening, where they would reflect on their experiences and really start to carve out this next stage. So in 1946, they returned to Amsterdam. Mario's children had had to stay in Europe. They had stayed in Amsterdam with a family that had helped them get there from Spain, and reunited, and that was 46. And again, I think they were ready to launch the elementary. I think Maria did one elementary training in India. She died in 1952 and handed over the mantle to Mario, her son, who willingly took on the responsibility of taking her work forward. In the 1960s, Mario decided it was time to send a few people back to the United States. They had tried a few times, but it didn't really take hold. I think Dewey and others sort of took hold in the mainstream. So Lena and Betty Stevenson came to the United States and started training. And Lena was in Kansas City, and then she started in Palo Alto. So I think now to Montessori, why we're really here, right? I think one of Montessori's key understandings, she didn't have a theory and say, oh, I'm going to test it. Everything she developed was based out of her experiences and her observations and her keen sort of capacity to understand what was going on around her. And one is that appreciation of the stages of development. And she's not the only one, certainly, who thinks about planes of development. And she saw them in increments of about 6 years: birth to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, 18 to 24, and on into adulthood. I think one of the keys, though, in her realization is she didn't subdivide them. She subdivided them into sort of 3 to 6 year planes. And what she recognized, that the children at each of those levels have specific needs and characteristics. So it takes it upon us to create the environments and the skills to support that specific plane of development. And it was by accident that it was always mixed levels. She didn't say, well, I'm gonna do the 3-year-olds and we'll do the 4-year-olds. When she was started in San Lorenzo, it was 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, because she had to take care of these children whose parents were working, and they didn't want them messing up the new housing development. And I think that notion of mixed ages is one of the greatest gifts, because if you have mixed ages, each child gets to operate on their own level, whoever they are, wherever they are. And there's an automatic building of community. Montessori described it as social cohesion in that first plane, where children automatically help one another, see what's needed. And we have this method of grace and courtesy. It's like, how do we get along in the world? You know, what is it that we do to greet someone, or to say thank you, or whatever it might be? So I think that she took the articulation of all that's been going on and continued to develop it. So now let's look at that first plane, which is pretty magical when you think about what goes on from birth to 6. And Montessori talked about it as 2 embryonic periods. The first is certainly the physical embryo in the mother's womb. And then at birth, this little being is exposed to this giant world around them, and they're not conscious. They can't decide what to choose to look at or not look at. But really, they're an unconscious being, what she called the absorbent mind. And that means the mind that takes in everything around them. That's how they orient themselves to the world around them. But they have their 5 senses: sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. And those are their tools that they get to explore the world with. But she recognized that in addition to the 5 senses, how on earth is it that they're able to orient themselves to the world? So she identified what she called sensitive periods, or sensitivities. And in that first plane, the 3 sensitivities are order, movement, and language. if you have to construct within yourself an order of your world that you can explore, orient, and be in, then the order around you is critical. And that means not just physical order, that everything's in its place, but order of time, order of the emotional level of the environment. All of that is taken into the absorbent mind. And then obviously a sensitive period for movement. A child goes from not being able to do anything except move, but then can crystallize it into sitting up and crawling and jumping and hopping and all of that. And then the third sensitive period is, of course, language and communication. And we don't teach it to them. Every child everywhere absorbs the grammar, the syntax, the vocabulary of the world they were born into. And if they're lucky enough to have more than one language, they absorb the same ones equally. I have a friend who's worked with people in Italy, and she said, how many languages are you fluent in? And they said, fluent? And she said, yeah, well, about 5. There's 2 I'm not too fluent in. And if you learn a language between the ages of birth and 6, your brain knows how to learn a language. If you're like me and you try to do it when you're 20, it won't work. Anyway, so the order, movement, and language. And then that notion of the newborn in that spiritual embryo, which, so the first 2.5 years, the child is in this preconscious, subconscious stage. And they're like a sponge. They absorb everything around them, the people, the languages, the customs, daily living, all their experiences, nature, experience of awe and wonder, experience of trauma, and everything. They have no filters that say, I like this or I don't like this, but there's things that happen. Let's see if I wanted to add anything. I wanted to add about language. The consciousness, a written language, so they've absorbed spoken language and can now construct everything. They started about a year and a half with nouns and then verbs, and then the whole thing emerges. And then it's similarly, they're still in that absorbent mind stage where if you make them aware of our language made up of sounds, cat starts with a k, ends with a t, that kind of, they hear the sounds, and we give them a symbol for those sounds, and they put it in their motor memory because we trace it. Pretty soon they can write with the movable alphabet words, sentences, stories, and all that. So if we have the good fortune of working with children in that first stage, many of them will write and read by the ages of 5 and 6. When we talk about literacy, it's like I wish we could spread that news around. So then the question becomes, how do these unconscious foundation that we've absorbed, how does it go on through life? So leads us to the next planes of development. But there's one other thing I wanted to add in here about that first plane. Montessori was in the classroom of the 3 to 6-year-old, and a mother had brought her infant, and they were sitting in the circle, and the infant was sort of lying on the mat in the center, and it was completely silent. And Maria said, "Do you think we could become silent and still as this infant?" And immediately the children took a breath and relaxed and made that moment of silence, which she understood and then observed later that they're called to that silent reflection. And it would become the silence game. And if we the teachers do it well and do it regularly, it is that tool of self-regulation that I think is a gift that we can carry on. So on to the next planes, 6 to 12. And so the little one, the first plane you're taking in the world, the what, everything, just to get the physical, the world around you. Well, comes 6 to 12, and it's the age of the imagination and the intellect. And they want to venture in and explore the universe. Well, you can't explore the universe without the imagination. And I think that imagination is one of the triggers of that depth of unconscious storage that's been there. And the curriculum for the elementary, and Mario decided it in India, is cosmic education. And it's based around 5 big stories. It's all about stories. And one is the creation story, which wherever you are, the coming of the universe. Then's the emergence of life on the planet, the coming of humans, communication with one another, and then mathematics and science. And all of the children are working together. So through the mind, the imagination, and creativity, they're able to pursue the knowledge, but it's really based on that phenomenal imaginative power that we have in them. And I think as those children are mastering the content or the disciplines, it's time for creativity and the arts to find expression, finding their places in nature to sketch and to journal really does keep them in contact with that deeper level of being. And then we move on to the adolescent, and the second most important stage, not important, but dramatic stage of development physically and emotionally. And the two big questions of the adolescent is, who am I and how do I belong? And that's not a conscious exploration, but in the community of peers, in the community with the larger community and neighborhood experiences in nature. And Montessori discovered that a great place for the adolescent to explore sort of the world is experiences on a farm. So many of us have been lucky enough to have journeys into the farmland where they can take on the responsibilities of growing food and having a food bank. Similarly, I think that the moments of creativity is how they continue to process this. We were fortunate to have an art studio, and I can't tell you that, and Rob didn't teach art, he just facilitated expression, and if they needed some tools or techniques, he would help them with that. But the art studio became sort of a haven of how they processed their life, the life in community, and how they bonded with one another. And then they had opportunities to work with the younger children, to tour the neighborhood. So that notion of community and belonging was just part and parcel without it having to be taught or. And again, I think time for reflection and time in dialogue with one another is what cemented that tapping in to the greater unconscious. And then there's the fourth plane, and that's the integration of the first three, where hopefully we're somewhat prepared to adapt to our particular time and place and culture, and hopefully begin to be able to answer the question, what is my work and how do I contribute? So my teachers, I acknowledge, were Maria and Miss Lena and all of those, and the mentors that I was lucky to have. But I think my real teachers were the children and the adolescents and their parents and the community and other members of my community. You know, the children that I carry details. Some of the stories of what they taught me when Duncan was going to tell me he was going to flush me down the toilet. You take pause and say, Anyway, they are the real teachers. And so I want to give you this quote from Maria. This was, I think, in that 1912 book. It was as if I gave to them some vital force from within me. Those things which we call encouragement, comfort, love, respect, are drawn from the soul of man. And the more freely we give of them, the more do we renew and reinvigorate the life within and about us. So I'm going to close with Miss Lena's thing about the senses. We're born with our 5 senses. We have sensitive periods by which we get to explore and orient. And then we are gravitating to things that feel good. Sensibility. She called them sensibilities. So, you know, I like this person, I gravitate towards them. Or I love playing with my dog in the woods, or whatever it is. And so the child is building up these unconscious and later conscious sensibilities. And then, if given the opportunity and time, those will develop into what she called deep sentiments. And Montessori called that the love of the environment. By that, she meant everything. The physical, the spiritual, the human environment. And it's that love of environment that, you know, as we often come to sing and celebrate with here in the UU, I think love is that magic and really ineffable force that ties it all together. So with that, I think I would like to give us a brief moment of silence, and then I have a reading that I would like us to close with, and then we'll have reflections. Open your Seeing Living Tradition to number 614, and that's one of the ones with italics, if we could do that together. The Sacred Hoop, this is from Black Elk. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell. For I was seeing in the sacred manner the shape of all things of the Spirit. And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that make one circle, wide as daylight and starlight. To shelter all the children of one mother and one father. Thank you. So now, does anyone want to share any reflections? Thank you, Marianne.
I wish every kid could do Montessori school. My granddaughter was in a school that's here in Helena, and she had a fabulous teacher for sure, but it was the most wonderful experience. And I remember one of the children probably was on the spectrum, and she came home and she said, you know, I think, and I don't remember the name, it doesn't matter, but I think he has an ability. And I thought, how wonderful that was the discussion. Must have been a discussion at school of some sort, but it was just so sweet. And they were so supportive of each other as a group. And she learned so much, but in a way that was never making her stressed. And I remember the opposite of my kids in a very competitive type of school system in Fairfax County in Virginia, which they did well in, but it was, I mean, I felt stressed. So this was really a loving and very creative and very nurturing environment.
Wonderful.
And I know teachers here that would wish it would be in every elementary
As
school.
do I, we need to get it to all the communities, not
It
just.
feels awful that we have to have a lottery. That's why my second grandson is not in it. And if you don't get in, you don't get in.
Right. Thank you. Any other reflections? Yes.
So I went to a 2-room schoolhouse, and we had the experience of 1st through 4th grade and 5th through 8th grade, and they weren't Montessori teachers,
No,
but it just naturally happened that way. So I think when you're in conditions where it can naturally happen, it's pretty amazing. My question is, if you didn't grow up in that kind of environment, is there anything that you can do to take in some of the teachings and lessons? Like if you know kids that are growing up in a different kind of environment.
Well, and now growing up with social media, you know, the thing I think about Montessori, it is those key principles, and you can do it everywhere. So if they have the opportunity to be around adults and environments that sort of respect that independence and choice and all of that, you don't need the $50,000 environment. You just need that sort of deep understanding that I think comes with the study of it. You cannot but not be enamored by this human development.
As a child, hi, I'm Summer. As a child, I went to Montessori in Kentucky when we lived in Bowling Green. And I loved going, and it made me part of the person I am today, because there I would do Chinese characters, and they'd be like, this is Earth, this is Panda, and I would learn things. And like, I would go when I was like 3 or 4, and some of the kids were scared because I was doing surgery on the baby dolls. And they're like, most kids don't know what surgery is, but my mom would bring me into the university where she worked in laboratories, and I would see like all these biology terms and everything, and surgery was one of them. And since I was little, I wanted to be a doctor, and they're like, most kids don't know what surgery is. And my mom was brought in, and she's like, because she's not around the normal stimulus. She goes to the laboratory after school. She goes into the classes that are for college students. So I learned stuff, and I wasn't in the average stuff, and I'm still not the average student because of it. I'm the average person.
Thanks, Sammy. So, I'm Cynthia. All 3 of my children have been in Montessori. My other 2 are in Montessori right now at Broadwater, and we were very lucky that they won the lottery, because I saw how it changed Summer and made her a learner for the rest of her life, and that has value. And she's a very unique individual, and that was always encouraged. So that's also something she learned from there.
Thank you. Thank you.
So hearing about Montessori-style education, I reflect on my own education, which was California Public Schools, and sitting straight in classroom rows and not getting out of line, and having to be quiet all the time, and being shy and repressed. So I would like a redo. Is there Montessori for adults?
Actually, there's a whole movement called Montessori for Aging and Dementia, but it's for the later stage of life. But it is rediscovering that some of the principles can really assist those in the latter parts of their time on the planet.
I personally like how it's whole, it's not divided up into
Right.
sections,
Right,
and it brings in all the elements.
Thanks, Jackie. I've been around Montessori a long time, but I've never actually heard its history. But I am a SongWorks certified educator, and SongWorks grew out of education through music, which was founded in Palo Alto by Mary Helen Richards.
Yes.
So there must have been something in the water at that time. There are so many similarities, and the way that education is brought about rather than being crammed down somebody's throat or in their brains. It's a wonderful way of discovery, and anybody who's played musical games with me, it's kind of a musical embodiment of Montessori style.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
thank you for your message today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
We're kind of short on time, so.
All right. Yep. Do we have time for one last hymn? I don't know what time it is. Okay. Well, we just have one last hymn, and then we'll stop after that. We can stop the mic in any private joys and concerns. And this hymn is, if I can find my, what is it?
I think it's just a song.
Number 28. And open your heart. Stand if you're willing and able. I can't read the numbers, sorry. What's the number?
That That font is a little difficult sometimes for numbers.
Another song of peace.
Sing another song of peace. Let it ring around the world. Hold hands and hearts and voices with every boy and girl. Sing another song of peace wherever you may be. Sing out the sound world around of peace and harmony. The world needs dreamers like me and you, 'cause dreamers turn into believers and make the dreams come true. So sing another song of peace. Let it ring around the world. Hold hands and hearts and voices with every boy and girl. Sing another song of peace wherever you may be. Sing out the sound world around of peace and harmony. The world's been waiting for all of us to share a million dreams side by side with room for a million more. So sing another song of peace. Let it ring around the world. Hold hands and hearts and voices with every boy and girl. Sing another song of peace wherever you may be. Sing out the sound world around of peace and harmony.
We extinguish this flame, but not the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. A few minutes for announcements.
This is a reminder that next Sunday is Easter Sunday, and we're having a 4:30 service and potluck afterwards. And I need 2 people who will set up the coffee or set up the table and make sure that the coffee's going and the silverware's out and set up. I will help anybody ahead of time with all the instructions, but I will not be there. So if I could have a couple of people let me know in coffee today if they could do that job for me, I appreciate it.
More announcements are coming.
Just a reminder, this is the Sandwich Ministry Week on Wednesday, 9:30, downstairs in the kitchen.
Hello, this is Mackenzie. I'm on the covenant committee for our congregation, and 19 people voted on the covenant, that was sent out a week and a half ago. And 100% of people who voted to adopt the proposed covenant. So that is really great, and they offered some suggestions of where they would like that posted or read aloud. Everyone said they would like it posted on the website, and then 50% said displayed out by the name tags, and 40% said displayed at the front of the worship or the sanctuary, and then about 35% said read at some point, not necessarily every service, but maybe once a month or during April or at special services. So we will all consider those options. Thank you.
And since next Sunday is Easter, there will be an Easter egg hunt for adults, but you have to bring in your words of wisdom. That's what we're going to exchange. Okay. Anything?
And now it's time for the Zoom to end.
Okay. So YouTube's off.
Are there any